Carl Dean, the most mysterious guy in Hollywood, the husband who's never walked the red carpet or been seen in public with his wife, finally spoke. Others maintain they were never in love, while others claim they divorced long ago. However, why did Carl Dean decide to speak up at this very time after more than 50 years of silence? Will his remarks contradict our beliefs about this marriage? Or might the reality differ from what we've always thought? Dolly Parton's biggest secret will be made public for the first time. The Ghost in Dolly's Love Story. Dolly Parton is regarded as a stunning woman with a powerful voice, a kind smile, and glitzy attire. She stood for kindness, tenacity, unwavering dedication, and music for many years. Behind the scenes, Carl Dean has always been her quiet lover. Carl Dean, the most enigmatic performer, has always avoided attention. He liked being alone more than his famous wife. What's caused him to live this way? How has their partnership endured for 50 years in a field where pressure and temptation may destroy love? Their lives changed when Dolly Parton and Carl Dean fell in love on a typical day. He didn't enjoy entertainment. The year was 1964. When Dolly was 18, she left Tennessee to sing in Nashville. Carl, a 21-year-old road construction worker, had no taste for amusement. They met outside the gaudy, wishy-washy laundromat in Nashville. Love may sometimes start without any background. Carl instantly fell in love with Dolly. The most unexpected? Though Carl Dean saw a young woman with brilliant eyes and a heart-stopping smile, the world would soon know her name. "I knew right then and there that I was going to marry her," Carl said. They connected deeply after conversing and laughing. Music and passion were Dolly's lifeblood at the moment. She had no idea that this man would be her lifelong partner. In 1996, 2 years after their fortuitous meeting, Dolly and Carl were married in a little ceremony in Ringgold, Georgia. Two people in love. No big celebration, no famous visitors, no cameras. Distanced from the world of fame. Carl Dean made a decision that many found puzzling. He cut all ties with his wife's celebrity life. Carl stayed almost invisible, never showing up beside Dolly Parton. Well, she dominated television, traveled the world, and rose to prominence as one of the most significant figures in country music. This choice generated insatiable interest in public gatherings. Why would a guy voluntarily leave the spotlight that his wife might have given him? Was anything more enigmatic here, or did he not encourage her career? The reality, however, was far more straightforward. Carl Dean didn't like the life of a celebrity, but he did admire Dolly Parton. Carl likes to keep things simple. Away from the bustle and attention, he found contentment in the peaceful pleasures of home. He never felt overwhelmed by his wife's celebrity and was happy to help her out behind the scenes. He saw Dolly as his wife, the person he loved, not as a celebrity. A rare exception. Their love story is an uncommon exception in a field where couples break down due to the pressures of celebrity, wealth, and temptation. Together, they've endured many adversities for more than 50 years. Carl's always been the first to hear Dolly's new songs, but never attended her big public appearances. He sent her notes while she was traveling, telling her that home would always be there wherever she went. Dolly Parton has said that respecting one another's personal space is the key to their long-lasting marriage. In an interview, she said, "I have my career, he has his life, and that keeps things exciting for us." She even jokes about how their marriage has lasted so long since they don't spend all their time together. Perhaps that's why we never argue. A phantom. There were constant rumors about their marriage. Since Carl Dean never appeared publicly, several people said he was dishonest. Others doubted their relationship since their lifestyles were so dissimilar. They continued regardless of what the outside world thought. Carl had no desire for fame. He never envied his wife's success or had Hollywood fantasies. He quietly encouraged her, ensuring she could shine as brightly as she should. According to Dolly, Carl never tried to change her or made her feel guilty for pursuing her goals. She said, "He loves me for who I am, not for what the world thinks I am." Like their youth, they loved the simple joys of life, go on drives, and laugh at silly jokes. Carl Dean proves that love is right even when everyone doesn't accept it. Although he may seem enigmatic to others, Dolly has known him all her life. He's always been everything to her. With a shining light and a person who remains unseen, theirs could be the lone love tale. The moment we've been waiting for. Carl Dean, the man who's been at Dolly Parton's side for more than 50 years without ever joining her on stage, giving interviews, or even letting the media record the few moments they yearn for, has always been the guy in the background, silently but resolutely letting his wife take center stage. Then the unimaginable occurred. Carl Dean has decided to speak after being silent for decades. What's changed then? Why did he finally decide to speak out to the world now? Carl Dean married Dolly Parton in 1966 and has lived according to his vow, "I will always love you, but don't ask me to be in the public eye," for over 50 years. It became the unbreakable rule that guided his life. However, things have changed. Carl Dean could have as well. Never had any regrets. Does Carl Dean regret not being involved in Dolly Parton's public life for decades? Has he ever questioned whether he should have accompanied her on stage at essential award shows or pivotal periods in her career? Carl Dean's response is straightforward. No. He's never felt left behind because he made his own decisions from the start. He never wanted to be in the limelight or work in the entertainment business. He saw letting Dolly shine as a method to show his love for her, not as a way to be overshadowed. "I don't need to be in the public eye to prove that I love Dolly," he said. "I just need to show her that every day when we're together." Thrives on understanding. In previous interviews, Dolly Parton has also underlined how understanding is essential to their marriage. Carl never asked her to limit her aspirations, and she never made him venture outside his comfort zone. "I chose the spotlight, and he chose the light of our home, and that's why we love each other," Dolly once said. Carl Dean knows he has left many things unresolved despite his lack of remorse. He needed to talk to clarify the truth, not alter the past. When Carl Dean finally decided to tell his tale after decades of keeping quiet, he wanted the world to know 3 key details of his marriage. Rumor about separate lives. Some people think Carl and Dolly are only legally married, and one of the most prevalent myths is that they have separate lives. Carl, however, rejects that idea outright. "We live together like any other married couple. She goes to work, I stay home. But when she comes back, I'm still there waiting," he says. Simple picnics, peaceful coffee mornings, and late-night conversations about life on the porch are some of their intimate times that no one else is aware of. These events have kept them together despite what the outside world may believe. Always proud of her. Some people think Carl Dean's celebrity may make him feel alone or alienated, but the reality is quite different. His words, "I've always been proud of her." Although Carl may not be well known, Dolly Parton has observed that he is usually the first to hear her new songs. "I don't need to stand on stage to know that I'm part of her life." She pauses to think about it if he doesn't like one. "He doesn't care for songs about heartbreak because I've never broken his heart," Dolly once joked. Carl Dean knows everyone will constantly examine their connection, but he doesn't care. "I love her and she loves me. That's all there is to it." A simple love story. He knows that some people find it difficult to accept a straightforward romance between a regular guy and a country music icon. However, he doesn't have to be ostentatious or spectacular. Sharing life's little moments and knowing that the other person will always be there, regardless of how much the world changes, might sometimes be all that love is about. Speaking out doesn't imply that Carl Dean is altering his lifestyle. He doesn't intend to become a public personality, do a lot of interviews, or go on talk programs. However, he wanted to leave a remark or note indicating his genuine and unwavering love for Dolly Parton. Consequently, he's now spoken after decades of quiet. The most straightforward, most honest statement is, "I love Dolly, I have always loved her, and that's what matters most." This is spoken without the use of flowery language or extravagant displays. A marriage without spotlights. The secret to their lasting love. Marriages lasting more than 50 years are already uncommon. Even more fascinating and enigmatic is a marriage like that of Dolly Parton and Carl Dean, in which one is a worldwide celebrity At the same time, the other one is hardly noticeable to the general public. Carl Dean has never performed alongside his wife or gone to any of her public appearances. He's avoided the media so much that some have even questioned his existence. Ironically, one of the main reasons their love has remained strong for more than 50 years is their seclusion. What's their true secret then? How has a relationship that the public perceives as unbalanced managed to endure and flourish? An unspoken agreement. An intriguing truth is that Carl Dean has never been to a Dolly Parton-related event since they were married in 1966. No press conferences, no concerts, no red carpets, no award shows, nothing. This may be seen as a warning sign for many well-known couples. However, it was an implicit understanding between Carl and Dolly. Carl would be Dolly's private haven behind the scenes, while she would be the center of attention. He would shield their private world from the turmoil of Hollywood while she would pursue the glory of her job. He supports her in his own way. According to Dolly Parton, Carl Dean was honest with her right away. "I love you, but don't expect me to become a public figure." She appreciated that. "Not at all. He supports me in this way, and I don't need a husband to stand on stage with me. I need one who will stand by me for life." Dolly Parton laughed when asked if she ever felt sad that her husband wasn't present to share the significant moments of her career. Being famous comes with challenges, which have been even more intense for a celebrity like her. The couple's been the subject of innumerable rumors over the past 50 years, including claims that Dolly was having an affair with her fellow musicians, that Carl had cheated on his wife because she was too busy, that they were no longer together and were only maintaining appearances, and that Carl was just a made-up character created by Dolly to avoid answering questions about her personal life. Dolly Parton and Carl Dean's one simple truth. Ultimately, Dolly Parton and Carl Dean's romance demonstrates one straightforward fact. Genuine love doesn't need display. It doesn't need public expressions of love or press releases. It really must be unwavering, strong, and forever. Perhaps the simplest explanation for why they've been together for more than 50 years without publicly appearing as a couple is that they never had to. Already, their love was more than sufficient. Carl's devotion in his own words. An unwavering union between one of the greatest music giants and a guy who was mostly unknown to the general public. Carl Dean seldom talked in all those years. He decided to remain in the background, uniquely showing his love and support for Dolly Parton. However, when he did speak, at last this time, his remarks were neither dramatic admissions nor startling assertions. They were just the sincere sentiments of a guy who had loved one lady throughout his life, a love that never faded and never required confirmation. First words Carl Dean spoke. What was said by Carl Dean then? What instances throughout their marriage have shown the love's lasting power? "Dolly's the love of my life. From the first day I met her, I knew she was the woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with." Carl Dean's first public remarks about his wife were straightforward but heartfelt. However, it bore an incalculable weight from a guy who had permanently opted for quiet. Protecting their privacy. Carl Dean recognized that the public owned Dolly Parton's life, but their marriage didn't have to. He thus made every effort to maintain the tranquility and privacy of their environment. Carl stuck to his principles: no public appearances, no media appearances, and no making his private life a spectacle, even as Dolly rose to fame. "He protects our privacy more than anyone else, and I know that comes from love," Dolly said. Supporting Dolly in his own way. Carl Dean never stood next to her in the limelight, but he constantly closely checked Dolly's profession. Dolly once told a tale about his unobtrusive help. Carl covertly purchased hundreds of copies of the album when she launched it to ensure that "I Will Always Love You" sold well. "He didn't tell me until years later. I burst out laughing when I heard it, but deep down, I knew it was one of the sweetest things he'd ever done." Remembering the little things. That Carl can recall even the slightest facts about her is one of Dolly's favorite things about him. Carl never forgets anything, from her favorite meals to her favorite movies, from the little things that make her laugh to when she needs solace. "He never fails to make my life a little better. He wishes me a good day every morning and tells me I love you every night. That hasn't changed in more than 50 years. Carl Dean isn't the kind of guy who writes love poetry or gives lavish presents. However, he is the one who loves Dolly quietly but steadfastly and is there for her whenever she needs him. And maybe that's why they haven't had any doubts about their marriage for almost 50 years. The love letters no one knew about. Dolly Parton and Carl Dean's love was documented in love letters for over 50 years and maintained in everyday situations. Deeply affectionate words that only the two of them knew existed. Few people are aware that Carl Dean, the reserved guy who seldom ever spoke in public, had a romantic way of showing his affection. He didn't openly express his love for his wife in front of an audience, give her lavish presents, or use lyrical language on stage. Instead, he wrote. Until now, Carl and Dolly were the only ones who knew of Carl's letters to Dolly. Habit of writing letters. Dolly Parton said that Carl Dean practiced sending her letters from the beginning of their relationship. These letters were straightforward, passionate writings full of love, rather than elaborate literary works like those in romance novels. Dolly kept one treasured habit throughout the years of glittering stardom and ceaseless touring. He's not someone who talks a lot, but whenever he writes, he makes me cry. A letter from Carl was always nicely arranged on the kitchen table next to a hot cup of tea when she got home after a long trip. A special letter. My love, I don't like crowds, but if there's one stage I'm willing to step onto, it's the stage of your heart. It was a simple sentence, but it contained all the love of a man who chose to stand in the background so his wife could shine. Dolly once received a particularly special letter from her husband when she had to spend several months away from home. Carl Dean never wanted attention. He never gave interviews, walked the red carpet with his wife, or attended significant events. However, he loved Dolly just as much as any other loving husband. Instead of standing next to her in front of the cameras, Carl positioned himself behind her, keeping an eye on her and helping her when needed. I don't need my name called out. I don't need to be on the front pages or have my name called out. I need you to know that no matter where or what you do, I am always here waiting for you to come home, Carl wrote in a letter that Dolly once published, and he meant it. Carl always waited for Dolly to come home to the little house they'd made together, away from the bustle of Hollywood, no matter how far she went. When asked about Carl's love letters, Dolly Parton couldn't contain her feelings. She keeps all of her husband's letters, even after they've been married for 50 years. I have an entire box full of his letters. Whenever I miss him, all I have to do is open it, reread it, and it feels like he's right there with me. 50th wedding anniversary. On their 50th wedding anniversary, Carl sent Dolly one of the most memorable letters he'd ever written. Carl wrote, 50 years ago, I said I love you before God. 50 years later, that love remains unchanged. If I had to choose again, I would still choose you. Carl didn't need to say those words in front of thousands of people. Therefore, he didn't host a big celebration. They didn't have to be shown on TV or printed on magazine covers. They had to write them down on plain paper and send them to Dolly Parton, the one person Carl cared about the most. And maybe that's why their love was so remarkable. Carl Dean showed his affection without the desire for publicity. All he needed was a piece of paper, a pen, and the one person he had promised to write to for the rest of his life. Who mows the front lawn? Carl Dean chuckled when he heard this report and said, if I don't exist, then who's been mowing the front lawn every morning? Dolly laughed out loud at his sense of humor. More significantly, however, it was indisputable evidence that Carl Dean was alive and well. He didn't feel the need to show the world. Another persistent story that persisted throughout the years was that they had discreetly terminated their marriage a long time ago. Many people believe a marriage couldn't be happy without extravagant parties, public appearances, or romantic social media postings. No justification needed. Carl Dean felt no need to defend or discuss anything as usual. Dolly responded to the rumors with her trademark wit, saying, if we were divorced, do you think I could keep that a secret? I'm Dolly Parton. My divorce would be the biggest news in the country. A rare moment later, he clarified his position, saying, we don't need to prove our love to anyone. Dolly and I know we love each other, and that's all that matters. A love that speaks for itself. Carl Dean and Dolly Parton demonstrated their love for one another without needing publicity for over 50 years. And now, when he finally speaks after decades of quiet, Carl Dean offers one last message. True love doesn't have to be seen. Some even conjectured that Carl Dean could have a love interest in males since he's never attended public gatherings or accompanied Dolly to red carpet appearances. The entertainment community was abuzz with this allegation. Still, Dolly's response was spot on. I don't care what people say, but I can tell you one thing, Carl is the finest man I've ever known, and I see no reason to waste time on baseless gossip. Speculations never bothered him. The conjecture never affected Carl himself. He didn't think he owed anybody an explanation regarding his personal life, and he never felt the need to prove anything. Carl Dean and Dolly Parton have been together for over 50 years, despite all the rumors, without making big media announcements or ostentatious public appearances. Perhaps this profound respect, unwavering privacy, and genuine love enabled them to weather every rumor and doubt and navigate half a century together, no matter how outrageous the stories got. When asked what the secret to a long-lasting marriage was, Carl responded, "Let the person you love be who they are." Carl's final words. I have nothing to prove, but I think it's time to make this clear. I love Dolly and always have, Carl stated, without resorting to romantic Hollywood-style tales when asked why he had decided to speak after all these years. Not with oaths spoken in front of cameras. Nevertheless, despite their distance, he was constantly at his wife's side. Carl Dean never liked being the center of attention. He seldom appeared in public photos, didn't go to Dolly's award shows, and didn't go with her to functions. However, it didn't mean he didn't love her as much as any other spouse. In contrast, he thought true love might be valuable without being shown. He previously stated, "Just because I'm not standing next to Dolly in front of a camera doesn't mean I'm not standing next to her in life." Quiet moments. The quiet moments of daily life, the moments spent drinking coffee together, the hastily scrawled handwritten letters, the easy, cozy quietness of sitting side by side, were what characterized their love, not public demonstrations. Even though Dolly Parton has always been a stunning celebrity, Carl Dean loved her more than anything else. She was his true love. For Carl, love was never about extravagant displays or flowery language. Dolly is the light of my life. I don't need a stage to see her shine. Since he believed that his treatment of his wife in private was the best indication of his love, he never felt the need to show himself to be the perfect husband in front of others. And it was more than plenty for Dolly. A rare moment of openness. True love has no pattern. No one should tell you how to say it. Most important is that the two persons love and understand each other. Carl Dean's love for Dolly, founded on mutual respect, trust, and honesty, lasted over 50 years. This was a rare moment of transparency in which he confessed his love for her. That's what counts in the end. After this unusual discovery, Carl Dean could remain silent, but his love for Dolly has never needed words. His never-before-seen handwritten letters and little but profound moments demonstrate that true love is characterized by honesty, understanding, and tenacity rather than outward displays. Their passion will endure whether or not he remains silent in the future. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon